You know, I wanted to talk to you about the elements. You can call the elements, if you watch that movie, Queen of the Dam, when she called the fire element out of these vampires and they started burning. So you have the same uh, divine authority and dominion given to you, right? If you're part of the 144,000, you can call all these various elements, you know, and basically you're calling the opposite. If you just, every person has these elements, right? You can call every element that is made, these people are made of, okay? Because that day is gonna come, and they're gonna continue to try to attack you like they're attacking me now, and violating me during my sleep, sexual assaulting me, and doing all of that. Okay, you can also break any ritual done your dream in during your dream state where you're sexually violated, and stuff. Okay, you can transfer all these sins to the person who attack you. You understand? So because they have done something and there's a consequences that come with it. So you could transfer your sins to the person attacking you during your dream state and asking the infinite of the universe to judge on your behalf in the high court of heaven. And you can also call all chords. Okay, so energetic chords, uh, uh, and also what do you call it? Records. Every records ever created, because they are creating attacks toward you, they're invoking an intent. An intent is a record, is kept. Sometimes they burn the record, so they call burned records. But the infinite is God of time, is so you can call these records. Every record ever created, burned records, and there's a lot of records, you know what I mean? It depends on the energy they're trying to invoke, right? So whatever intent they are using to invoke against you, you can call these records. Any record ever created, including burned records, hidden records, any records that has been generated by the enemy. So because, okay, records, you think of it is like a computer, and it doesn't matter how good of a hacker you are, you always leave a trail. You understand? So energy is like that. So when they are invoking this energy, even though they're trying to scrub it clean, they always a trail. Okay, that why they burn the records to trying to hide this entity who were called to attack you through the burned records, right? So you can call the infinite to turn back time to any record ever created, burned records. Any record was buried, hidden, um, trapped into an animal, or buried in a graveyard, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can just say, to get them all, to just say any record ever created, including burned records, any records that is hidden and whatnot. Okay? To call those records. And then you ask the divine, the infinite, to judge on your behalf for every record ever created, because you're calling that record when it was created, even though they tried to hide it, because you're going back in time. You're going back in time, because even though they burned the record, you're going back in time. You are reactivating this record before it was burnt. Just how you get them. Okay? So you're going to have access to all these elements, and you anybody have these elements. Humans were created from air and dust, which is sand and water, or clay and water, right? And given a spirit, you understand? So fire as well. So anyhow, every element you have access to. You know what I mean? When these enemy are attacking you now, they think they have the upper hand. They think they're powerful. They do not know you're more powerful than they are. We are still not activated. When we come to Earth, the infinite doesn't activate us because they want us to misuse these powers. They don't want us to misuse them and abuse or whatever. So are given in a later time during judgment. You know what I'm saying? When they said the Nephilim seed is being captured and hidden, and it's is being suppressed. That's what it means. They're going to be released in end times where they aren't going to be released from you, within you. You understand? So it doesn't matter how powerful these witches. I'm going to explain to you about the hierarchy. These people do not understand this hierarchy. And God, the infinite, created the spirit first. The spirit, he created all the spirit first, right? Because the infinite is a spirit. The infinite, the creator of the universe, is a spirit. You understand? So created all the spirit first. What come after the spirit? The angels. The angels came after the spirit, right? And then the jinn kingdom. Angel, jinn, and then humanity, the fourth. Is it the fourth? Spirit, angel, jinn, and humanity, the fourth. Fourth. So the humanity came fourth. You understand? So we created, the 144,000 created second. God created us second in creation. Okay? And then when we came to earth, we brought blessing to the seed of Abraham. Understand? So you get it? Anyhow, everybody who's a seed of Adam and Eve are, is considered the blessed seed, and anybody who's not, they're not considered that, So we have dominion, 144,000. We have dominion and over pretty much a lot of things, that comes below us. Over humanity, over jinn, over we will be given also authority, and will be given authority over the spirit. When the Bible says that you're going to be given unlimited spirit, unlimited spirits. What does that mean? So we're going to be given, so you'll be able to control every element. If you're creating all elements, you're creating everything. You are controlling everything. You understand? Anything and everything. Okay? So that spirit of the infinite is going to come. They won't be touching you no more. They won't be violating you during your sleep. They will not even look at you. You know, because yeah. So they don't want you to know this. They don't want you to know that you have all these powers bestowed on you for later time, and once it's gonna be activated, it's gonna come like this. Instantly. If you watch the Darkest Might, when remember with the what her name, she got her power when she was sleeping during she was sleeping between her mom and dad, and she got her power then, and she wiped the memory of her parents, because she was touching her parents, and she got her power, and she basically wiped herself from their memory, and she didn't know she did that. Remember when her eyes turned orange? Yeah, so it's gonna be coming like that. You understand? So, and they're showing you in this, like, they could do this and that or whatever. They can't do anything. What they're showing you in a movie is not true. They can't do anything. You know what I mean? No, there's no army. There's no government. Nobody in Earth, can do anything about it, right? That's what they're trying to lie to you, trying to tell you, like, oh, they can control you. No, you can't. Okay? So anyhow, they're not gonna be able to touch you anymore, violate you sexually, and assault you, and do all these things. Witchcraft would not work on us. We're gonna have, you know, unlimited spirits. Yeah. So every time you're gonna invoke a jinn or demon or spirit, whatever, to curse us or whatnot, yeah, we can call something very destructive to the person who called us out of our name. If you call that name and you say, I want to destroy this person, you're going to get something very destructive. You understand? And it's just going to happen like that. And the 144,000 also going to be connected through telepathy. We don't have to even speak. We're connected through telepathy, and we can speak to each other, And yeah, so they made a lot of movies about us, and it's about what we can do, right? They keep testing you in your dream state because they're trying to figure out which one you are out of this, dragon bloodline, royal bloodline, because they want to figure out which one you are, so they want to be ready, Yeah, they don't know what you are. They will not know until it's too late, because remember I told you that story when I was at the park in London. I went to visit my sister in UK, and I was at the park, and I had this lady or whatever she is come, and she told me she walked by me, and because I was wearing a sandal, and I had one of the sandals like kicked in front of me, but then I had my foot in the grass, barefoot, and she kept staring at my foot. She told me, "Oh, you have all this photogenic foot, whatever." Yeah, but anyhow, she was sent there, and she asked me to take a picture of my foot for her class because she does some sort of flexing for her class. But I knew, and I just said to myself, "Oh yeah, so you're trying to take a picture of my foot because 144,000 we have markers." We have markers in our hand. We have markers in our feet, in the body. We even have extra bones in your chest. Your chest, we have extra bones other than other humans. So for human, they have a number of ribs. I can't remember how many, but look it up online. We have extra. I think we have two extra or three extra. I can't remember. But anyhow, in the middle, in the middle of your chest. Okay, so you have, I think three or four. I can't remember how many, but it doesn't matter. So we have extra ones. Okay, we have extra chromosomes. We have four extra chromosomes. You understand? And that they showed you in the movie, the TV show. I mean, it's called the Mayfair Witches. And when they said, they have four extra chromosomes. Okay? So they know what are these markers. So when this person was sent to me, it was intentional to take a picture of my foot. And I said, okay, what are you going to do, really? So anyhow, I let her take a picture of my foot, whatever. And then when I first got targeted, guess where I was attacked? I was hospitalized. I was attacked in my chest, in the middle of my chest. When I was, when sent to the hospital, the doctor had to take a picture on my chest. At the time, I did not know about these extra ribs, and later in time, I learned, the 144,000 have these markers, so they knew. So that's why they attacked me in my chest. And I was taken in an ambulance to emergency room, and they said, "Well, I have to take a picture of your chest to see if any fracture." And it was a fracture. There's a fracture there, but the doctor told me, "Oh, we'll heal," But they wanted to take a picture to see if that was accurate. And then, after they've taken this picture, the attack intensify. It become really more and more and more. Like they knew, because they saw, right? Because even, remember when last time my doctor asked for bone density? Because you're attacking you through your radiation, it affects your bone density, the thickness of your bones. You understand? That's why they're attacking you with radiation. So that's what all these people, they know how to affect you without you knowing, because they have the manual. Jupiter gave them the manual. Jupiter, Zeus, he's our enemy, Anyhow, he's the one who sent them here to Earth. And they're running the show. Even though they're running the show, but they're not really ruling, Jupiter is. You remember when the Zionist Jews said we get orders from a planet? Which planet is that you think is? They get from Jupiter. Okay, they get the order from Jupiter. Okay? Yeah. So that's what's happening. So when they know a lot about you, because it's not because they were born all knowing. No, they're not all knowing. It was given to them by Jupiter. Okay? This information. So they don't know any of that. Jupiter actually helped them. Zeus or whatever the name Jesus is Jesus. The name Jesus. Jesus actually is Zeus. Actually Jupiter. You understand? So they're giving you a false god to worship instead of the infinite, the maker of the universe, right? The creator of the universe, the one who existed before all creation. Okay? before even Jupiter was created. You understand? Anyhow, or Zeus, whatever, Jesus, the same. You know, word Jesus is a made up name. He goes by a lot of names. He goes by a lot of names. You just because he want to be God. He want to be, you know, the creator. You know, but he's not. So he's a destroyer of God creation. He is mudding the water, you know, and messing everything that God created, you know. But yet they want to steal your DNA. They want to steal your ancestor DNA and stuff. You know, it doesn't matter. Um, you know, when I was in, I went to Berlin to visit one time, and I had this friend there. When I went to visit, he had another friend come and visit. On we were talking. I realized that they're both part of the establishment. They are part of the establishment, and they're part of our enemy. You know, because this friend of mine, when I went to visit him, I went to I went to the washroom to use the washroom, and he had this like a it wasn't a it's like a cottage or an out, I can't remember what it was, but it's like a garden house, and it's like a one bedroom, and it has a bathroom, living room, kitchenette, or whatever. And so he goes there in the summer to stay. So I went there, you know, to stay and whatnot with him. So I made dinner, and I asked. He asked me if, oh, one of my friends want to come over for dinner today. Do you mind? And I said, no, that's fine. And so this guy came in, and he was looking at me like, you know, when somebody look at you like they know of you, or they know something about you, or whatever. And he started talking to me about what the Jews want to do. He said they want to kill everybody to allow their bloodline to populate the earth. He's having this discussion with me after dinner. And the way he was asking me stuff, I just realized, you know, you know, he says, "Oh, I'm not religious. I'm Jewish, yes, but I'm not practicing religion. You know, any, you know, but seem to know all these things what the Jews want to do, the Zionist Jews want to do to humanity, to whatever." And he was saying stuff to me. Want to kill everybody. You want to reduce the population to 500 million and easy control and whatever. That's what he was saying to me. But anyhow, when I got there, um, anyhow, I went to use the washroom at my friend's place, at this cottage place. And guess who I see in the bathroom? Which is the weirdest place to hang personal pictures. Honestly, guys, you can't make this shit up, you know? I'm gonna tell you what I saw. I went to the bathroom. His bathroom is not very big, you know? And he had a line of pictures or whatnot of the crown of England inside the bathroom. Okay? And I made a comment about it when I got out, and I said, oh. I said to him, jokingly, I said, oh, I feel like I've been watched by the crown. That's what I said. I thought, he goes, what do you mean? I said to him, well, I went to the washroom, and all their pictures there, and I feel like I've been watched using the toilet, peeing or doing whatever. I said, I feel I've been watched by the crown. That's what I said to him. And he started laughing. He like, when you say something intentionally to get some sort of an emotion. That's why exactly I said it. I said this exactly to get an emotion out of him. Because I said to myself, oh, wow, Oh, no, they are German. They are German, and I like them because they are German. That's it, you know. And they're whatever. And then this guy came over for dinner, was talking to me about all of these things. And just a lot of things happening. I went to bed that night. I was being attacked through yeah, yeah. I was being attacked through witchcraft. So I was sleeping and I had Holy Quran on very low. The volume was very low on my phone, and I had the phone. I was holding the phone on on my right hand, and in the middle of the night, somebody was literally yanking the phone out of my hand, and it woke me up because I was holding the phone. I was holding it, and someone tried to, because the way they went about it to trying to pry it out of my hand, and it was very aggressive, and it woke me up, and I looked. I don't see anything. I don't see anybody near me or not trying to grab the phone out of my hand, because I had Holy Quran running in the background. Because I know, okay, when I first got attacked, I I woke up and I went in my phone and I turned Holy Quran on. Then, just to whatever it is, didn't like that. These demons, entity, whatever they use, I realized that could be this friend of mine. It could be a shapeshifter. I don't know. It could be, but anyhow, it got me really a little bit shaken. I was like, "What was that?" Trying to aggressively pull the phone out of my hand, and I looked around because I opened my eyes and I looked around. No, there's nothing there. So I ended up putting the phone underneath the mattress, you know. So, and I'm pretty much laying on top of my phone, you know, because I wanted to sleep. I don't want somebody to come and try to yank the phone out of my hand when I was my sleep, you know. Yeah. So all these things happening, it just made me look at this friend of mine like, wow, not you too, you know? All these demons, hybrid, shapeshifter, whatever. Anyhow, so I end up packing my stuff and going to a hotel. So I end up going to the hotel to. I just left. He went to work, whatnot. I left him a note. I went and bought a gift, from the store, and I bought a thank you card. Thank you for having me. Over. It was really nice seeing you, and blah blah blah. I left that card and a gift for him, and I just packed up my stuff and my bag, and I went to the hotel. I just said, no, I'm not staying in this house anymore. You know? Yeah. So, yeah, that's a story. All of that is gonna stop. These people, they think they have the power and to do you wrong. They won't be able to touch you anymore. Yeah. True story, guys. That's all I'm gonna say. Continue violating us during our sleep, or sexually violate us, raping us, doing all this stuff. Yeah. That day is gonna come, you know. Do not scream because destruction is coming for you.